Hello, IS teacher candidates. Dave here with a weekly update. So I just finished going through all the discussion forum posts that I hadn't seen yet. And first, I'd like to acknowledge some of the awesome contributions some of you are making. Some of you are taking this feedback component very seriously, and responding to your peers with some potential solutions, but also asking questions, kind of drawing out their design intentions for their units. And I really appreciate that approach, because I think we're going to end up with some much better products having done that. And I'm also realizing that some of the issues that I might address here in this video kind of have already resolved themselves in the webinars in our discussions, but I thought I'd share them here to make sure that kind of everybody is on the same page. So first, I wanted to mention something in regards to the flipped classroom. And some people said, students might not be motivated to do homework, and that's entirely true. But another way to kind of leverage, two kind of points in terms of leveraging how homework can be an opportunity. One is that all students work through content in different ways. So whether they're watching videos, reading text, you name it, some students like to kind of focus, do like an hour straight work. Other students only have like a 5-minute attention span where they're going to look at something, get up and go to the bathroom, look at something, get up and go get a tea, look at something, get up and walk away. And by putting some of that kind of content work into an online format, you allow your students to kind of interact with that content in a way that's most comfortable for them. The second point I'd like to make in regards to the flipped classroom is that by taking a lot of that content exploration out of the classroom time, you're able to kind of use that classroom time for far more interactive activities, to do things. I think health and phys ed is a great example of this, where we say, health and phys ed, health and phys ed students don't want to do homework. Well, I mean, there's that health component, which is there's a lot of content to explore there. If you kind of position the content exploration as homework activity, you can kind of sell that as an opportunity to your students. Hey, if you do your homework, we can use our in-class time to do stuff, to do that physical activity component. Rather than spending our times at desks working through content, we can be up, moving around, using the gym, using some of our resources at school. So that's what I wanted to talk about in regards to the flipped classroom. I want to talk about timelines as well. So with these online units and these lessons in particular, you don't have to look at these lessons as something that, okay, students are going to complete this lesson in an hour and a half. I mean, these lessons could take place over the course of a day. The student could be completing that lesson, or maybe a few days, maybe a week, maybe even a month. So don't think that your lesson has to be confined to a particular time boundary. Maybe you're doing a lot of in-class instruction and activities, and this online lesson or this online unit is something that students are completing over a period of time, kind of using that virtual space, and you're accomplishing your curriculum kind of delivery both in the classroom but as well as online, and taking some of the content that fits better maybe in a virtual learning space and putting it in there, and some of the content that fits better in the classroom where you can do things, interact with each other face to face, fits there. So keep that in mind as you're working through these units, that they don't necessarily have to, your lesson doesn't have to fit into the conventional timeline of a face-to-face in-class lesson. And that's a strength of the online lesson format. In regards to, and one more piece on that, I guess, to mention is that don't forget that the online space is a means of providing differentiation to your students. Some students, and again, this is something we talked about in the webinars, students could have social anxiety, they might have other health issues which leaves them away from the school, maybe they're dyslexic and they need a lot more time to process text-based information, or whatever their condition or exceptionality, they might need more time to process video or audio input. By putting some of this content exploration into an online format and giving them more time to explore it and letting them explore it in a way that's comfortable for them is a means of providing differentiation for your students, one that we don't traditionally think of, because using online learning spaces is not something we traditionally did. This is a new form of differentiation that we need to consider addressing in our own instruction. And that really carries over into, a lot of people were mentioning the challenges of meeting with your team in a virtual learning space. Like, there's really no replacement for face-to-face. And you're right, there's not. We can't replace that opportunity for face-to-face interaction. That said, there's Google Hangouts or Skype, and there's other video conferencing tools, video chat tools that you can use to have real-time dialogue. Sometimes it would be beneficial to not use your mobile device for that, and to actually use something like a laptop where you guys can have a video conference where you're engaging in real-time dialogue with each other while you're doing your planning. from different geographical locations. And frankly, I've done a lot of that in my own professional work here at Brock University, and it can be a very great tool to use when you're not in the same place at the same time. Access issues, right? So for the purpose of this assignment, let's just assume that students have universal access to Wi-Fi and their own personal device, such as a Chromebook. Is this going to be the reality? No, not necessarily. Does this mean that we should base on our development on this hypothetical obstacle? I don't think that's really helpful either. Again, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the reality, but I think that preparing for this instructional strategy and spending some time really flexing your own muscles surrounding how you might use the online learning space instructional strategy is really an important part of your professional development and professional growth, one that will help you both in the interview process, I believe, but one that will also be of tremendous value to you and your students and potentially your colleagues in the future if you have an awareness of how to deliver online instruction. Again, it's not about perfection, it's about progress, okay? So we're looking at incremental progress in terms of your comfort levels designing and delivering online learning. One thing I wanted to mention about forum posts, just a little formatting thing. Please try and use text formatting. Don't forget after you make a point, before going on to the next point, maybe hit enter a couple times. Put a little bit of white space between points. If you've got multiple consecutive questions, maybe consider using some bullets to visually separate those questions. When all of your information, smorgasbord of different information is presented in a single paragraph, or what I might call a wall of text, it can be a little bit difficult for a reader to really read and respond to and kind of compartmentalize and chunk what are the different things that are being said in this paragraph. So please try and use some formatting to help break up the content of your posts. It makes it a lot easier to read, that's all. I think that's really all I had to say for now. I know this video's already gone on for quite a long time, so I don't want to bore you too much. Hopefully I haven't. So just, I'll be making some more posts on our Google Classroom. You'll see them here in the Week 10 area. Again, thank you for all your work. Thank you for your contributions. I'm really happy about what I'm seeing so far in your discussions and everybody's attitudes surrounding this. Fantastic experience for me. I hope that you guys are also getting some benefit from this. So I'll talk to you all next week. All right, cheers.